fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Commander Class Decepticon Motormaster from the Transformers Legacy line from Hasbro. So I finally got this guy after languishing in the Midwest for about 10 days. FedEx finally delivered him. I'm very excited to finally have this guy. This box is pretty massive, although I have to admit it's not as big as I was expecting. Although I guess it's pretty much on par for Commander Class. It's just obviously oriented horizontally instead of vertically. But we have some really awesome artwork of Motormaster here on the front of the box. You can even see some of the other Stunticons down here. We have Wild Rider and Dragstrip. Up top here, we have a nice shot of Motormaster in vehicle mode. Down here, really not too much going on. Over here on this side, we have that kind of typical Decepticon picture we have on the side of all the Decepticon Legacy releases. And then over here, we have a beautiful picture of Menasor. It's kind of funny, we actually don't have any artwork for just Motormaster's robot mode. We just have the vehicle mode, and then we have the combined form of Menasor here, which is kind of funny. Spinning it around to the back, again, we see the vehicle mode, we see Menasor front and center. Here is just the cab on its own, which of course turns into Motormaster, and then you can have this base mode here for the trailer parts, and we'll take a look at all of that. And it's showing you how to connect Dragstrip and Wild Rider, since those are the only two that are supposed to be out at the time of this release. Although I have to admit, I have not seen the Wave 2 Deluxes anywhere. It seems like the entire rest of the line is out. You know, Studio Series guys are being revealed and released before these Deluxes. I don't know where they are. They're just not anywhere to be seen. But one day we'll find Wild Rider. But yeah, so that's pretty much all going on there on the back. I'm going to go ahead, get this guy out of the box, and we will take a closer look. So here is Motormaster in vehicle mode. This is exactly how he comes packed in the box. He's literally just like this in the box. There's not even any ties to keep him down. It's got another piece of cardboard on top to keep it in place, which honestly, I hate those ties, so it's actually kind of great. But he looks great. He really does roll very nicely. You can really move the cab all the way around, so you can get a lot of nice turning radius there. I think that looks pretty fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect him here. So you can see it's just kind of a singular peg that pegs into this section here. Now I will say this piece does come unpegged pretty easily. You can see that there are these two square pegs right here that peg into these little spots right there and there. And it just doesn't stay as well as it probably should. It's not a huge problem because in the vehicle mode, gravity will just kind of keep everything in place, but that can pop off, but it doesn't really impact anything. So here is the cab on its own. Really nice purple here for the windows. Some really nice silver paint here for the grille and the fender. A little bit of silver paint on the wheels as well. Really nice Decepticon symbol here on the side. And it just looks really solid. There's not a ton of robot kibble. You can kind of see that these will eventually become the arms. But for the most part, it looks pretty cool. I'm going to put that off to the side for a moment. And we'll take a look at the trailer. Again, really nice purple paint. Nice Decepticon symbol there. Got some wheels down here. Now, unfortunately, this trailer does not open in any way. It's not like Prime's trailer where you could put one of the Stunticons inside or something like that, because all of the Menasor pieces are, you know, packed inside here. So we do not have an ability to open this up or store anything inside. You can also kind of see the chest plate of Menasor right here. It would have been kind of nice if there was just like maybe a little like silver or gray piece that could kind of clip over this to kind of hide that. It's really not that big a deal, though. Really nice Decepticon symbol there, though, and we'll see that more in the Menasor mode. But it's pretty compact. It's pretty solid. Yeah, not really too much to complain about with this one. Now, I believe you can flip this out somehow. Trying to remember exactly how this works, but there is a way, I believe, to flip this down. Yes. Okay, so these pieces... Here we go. That comes down like that, so that if you want to just park the trailer like that, you can absolutely do so. So you don't have to transform it into the base mode if you don't want to. It does have a little stand there. But we'll go ahead and we'll take this apart in a moment. First up, I want to focus on the cab and the transformation to Motormaster. Alright, so transformation into Motormaster isn't too difficult, and honestly, he's a little shell-former. He just has a lot of panels and things, but it's really not too bad. We're going to start off by unhooking these sections right here. And then we can kind of bring these out to the side like so. We're going to go ahead and lift these panels up. So you want to pop these out and then kind of lift them up a little bit like that. So we'll do the same over here with this one. And then we can kind of start to break this in half, as you can see right there, like that. So we're going to flip the legs up just a little bit. These are going to come around, and you can see that there's a big tab right there, and that's going to tab into this section right here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Bring this around and bring this up and tab that onto the front like so. And at this point, if you want, you can just go ahead and bring the legs fully forward like this. We're going to come around to the back. We can kind of tip these sections out a little bit just so we have enough clearance to fold this panel down and peg that in. And then this panel is going to come down and fold in like that. While we have this like this, we're going to fold in the wheel like that. And then we're going to spin this around like so. Bring this down. Then this is going to come in and click into place. And then this is going to fold down and fold in like this. And then there's a little tab right there, which is going to tab into that little spot right there. And then you pretty much have your legs done. So doing that again, you fold this panel in and click that into place. You pull this out to the side so that there's clearance to fold this panel in, and that will peg in all the way against that. You fold in the wheel, you spin this around, bring this back down, fold that in, fold that down, and then peg that in to the side. And that's pretty much your legs right there. And I do think it's pretty cool how they had the little parts of the cab like hidden inside the foot so that they can be his front feet, because that's what he looked like in the show. Even though it's not possible, because in the original toy in the show, the entire trailer and the cab transformed into the robot here. So they've kind of simulated that by giving you these fake little cab feet, which I think is a really cool little touch. I like that quite a bit. So coming around to the top now, we're going to go ahead and unhook that, and that'll kind of sit like this. And then we're going to bring the arms down like so, and they will clip in to the side of the body. And then I kind of like move them out a little bit to the side. So bring this down, that will clip in, and then this is going to swing all the way around. You're going to want to bring this up like this as this comes around. And then you can see that there's a little tab slot right there, and there is a little tab right there. So this is going to come down, kind of click into place up here, and then this is going to come down and peg in against the back. And there you go. We are pretty much done. The last thing to do is just flip this section right there so that we can flip out the fists and then close it back up. And there we go. There is Motormaster. Now, unfortunately, the big drawback with this, he has no heels to speak of. So getting him to stand can be a little difficult. That's kind of my only complaint with the robot mode. I think it looks fantastic. I think they did a really good job with it. I don't even mind this backpack section here because I feel like it really sits flat against the back. It doesn't get in the way of the shoulder articulation at all. The head sculpt is fantastic. Let me zoom in on that. Now, he does have painted eyes, but they're kind of painted the same color as his face. They're only slightly darker. So it's kind of difficult to tell the difference. And because it's so recessed, it's kind of hard to get light in there as well. But you can see it's a really nice face mold. The paint is really nice. You have that metallic light purple for the face, and then just like a slightly darker purple for the eyes. You can see that the head can spin side to side. There's no ball joint. It doesn't do anything else. It really just goes side to side like that. But you do have a rotation here in the shoulder as well as a hinge out to the side. You have some nice Decepticon symbol paint there. You have a bicep swivel. You have some really nice purple paint on the inside of the forearm there. You can actually swivel the wrist around as well. You have a waist swivel. You can kick forward. You can kick back. You can kick out to the side, and you can hear that really nice ratchet there. You have a thigh swivel. I would say you have over 90 degrees there in the knee. And then, of course, you do have ankle tilt as well So you can get him in some good poses. It's just a matter of him not having any heels, which is kind of a problem. But as long as you can kind of get him in a good pose, he'll stand. It's not a problem. And just for a little size comparison, here he is with Drag Strip, which is the only other Stunticon I have right now. But you can see he's obviously taller, which makes sense because he is the leader of the group, and he definitely was taller in the cartoon and the original toy as well. So these guys look pretty good together. Now he does have some accessories that are going to be part of the trailer. So I'm going to put him off to the side, bring the trailer back in, and then we'll start taking that apart. Alright, so starting off with the trailer, it's going to come apart into kind of three main sections. Starting right here, this is all going to come apart, just kind of unhook from the front, and here is where the sword is stored. You can go ahead and take that off, and then we'll go ahead and bring Motormaster back in so I can give him his sword. And it's a little ridiculously large in the robot mode, but I kind of love that. It's a little too big for this robot mode. It's a little too small for Menasor. I understand they only had one accessory, so they kind of had to shoot somewhere in the middle, so, you know, because it had to work for both. But I kind of like the ridiculously large sword for this mode. He also has a ridiculously large gun that I don't like as much, but I really do like the look of the sword. And you can see that there's some kind of gunmetal gray for the blade of the sword. You can tell that it's all molded in black, and then this was painted over top. It looks good, though. I really like it a lot. So I really love him with the sword. We'll just go ahead and leave him back here and see if he wants to stay standing for us. We'll see how that goes. But here is our front section. So what we can do with this, this section here flips up and kind of pegs in there. And then you're going to split this in half. And then this will kind of come down. And then really this whole thing just kind of drops away. It doesn't actually peg into this. It just kind of like nicely forms in. You can see how there's kind of like a tab here, which just kind of like sits in this recessed area. So this just kind of like sits in there, and you can see how that joint kind of fits in there perfectly as well. And then you wrap it around and peg it on top. So it doesn't actually peg in to this section, but we'll go ahead and put that off to the side. So we'll take this, and really this just kind of folds in half like this. We have to flip these sections down as well. And then this just all kind of pegs into itself like so. And that stays like that. So that will become a kind of gun turret a little bit later on. So we'll just kind of sit that off to the side there. Next, you're going to take pretty much where the purple line goes and just kind of pull these two sections apart. And then you can go ahead and unpeg these two from each other. This will split down the center like that. And then we'll put these off to the side. And then this will actually split into three sections because the gun is right here in the center. So as you pull this apart, you will pull the gun out of the middle. Just put these off to the side. And then you can go ahead and flip the barrel around. And that forms the gun. It's huge. Again, to try to give it to him in robot mode, it's kind of comically large. But you would just put one of the handles in his hand. And I don't really like the look of that. I think it's way too big. It's kind of ridiculous looking. But of course, he can hold it. But I don't really like to do that. I kind of just have him rock the sword because I think that looks really cool. So I just leave him with that. You can take this, and you will flip this up a little bit, and then you will kind of pop this to the side, and this will peg on here. And there is your gun turret, which we'll come back to a little bit later. He's trying to fall down again. Okay. So this is going to be one of the leg sections, but for the base mode, what you're going to do is flip this like this. This will flip around like so, and that's pretty much it. You're done. So you're going to come around to the other one and do the exact same thing. So this is going to flip down. This is going to flip down. And then this is just going to sit there like so. We're going to take this section here, which will definitely become the torso and kind of thigh crotch area for Menasor. And I believe we flip this up. We're going to bring this down. And you can hear that really nice tight ratchet there. It's ridiculously tight. Then we're going to spin this section around 180. And then we're just going to kind of leave it like this for the moment. we're going to take this section, which will become an arm, and we are going to utilize this hinge, which is right there, and just bend that down like so. Then we're going to come back to this section, and this is going to peg in with the wheels facing downward. There's a peg right here, and there's a peg spot right there, and that will drop in like so. And you can tell it goes well because this has to kind of line up and clear this section there like that. So it does kind of peg in nice and securely. And then you're going to just lay this down like this. These have little pegs on the front of the feet, which are going to peg into these little spots right here. So you just peg that in like that, and then peg this in over here like this. And then this section here has two tabs, one right here and right here. And there are two little tab spots, which I'm sure the camera will not pick up. Right there and right there. And this is going to tab in like that. So now if we zoom all the way out, and this is probably too massive to fit all in frame, so I'll do what I can. This is the base mode. It's not terrible. It's not great. You can go ahead and stand Menasor back here like he's arming the camera. The camera? The cannon. I'm arming the camera. And in any case, you can put him there like he's manning the cannon. You can go ahead and feed the hands into those things. I'm not going to because it's really kind of a pain. But you can absolutely position him like he has his hands on the controls there. It's okay. It's not the worst. I mean, again, I didn't buy this for a base mode, so the fact that they threw one in is nice. It's definitely not needed, but it's not bad. I mean, it kind of reminds me almost of like Triptychon or something like that, the way you kind of have like the little spires to almost not seem like a city, but it kind of gives some cohesiveness to this base. But there's not really much going on. I guess technically you could have maybe cars drive up to this area or something, but it's okay. I mean, it's really just kind of a glorified cannon turret, if you think about it, but it's not bad. I mean, honestly, for putting something together with what you already had, not really, like, you can tell that it wasn't made for this, but this was something that they could do with what they had. I mean, obviously Menasor is the star of the show, and we're going to get there in a minute, but, you know, putting this in as kind of like an extra bonus mode, it's nice. You know, do I need it? Absolutely not. Am I going to use it very often? Most likely no. But, you know, just to have it as an extra and it doesn't impede anything else, sure, it's great. Now, the directions have you go back to the trailer to go to Menasor. I'm just going to kind of go from here because there's really not a lot more steps to do. So we're going to start by just kind of disconnecting this. And this will just completely sit off to the side. You don't use these pieces for Menasor at all. So that just sits over there. We're going to unpeg what are obviously the feet. And there's really just one more step. You're just going to flip these pieces up to become kind of knee pads. And that's it. That is the leg. So there's hardly anything else to do for that. So we're just going to flip this up. And there you go. We have our two legs. We're going to come back to this section. We're going to unpeg these. So we'll go ahead and take those off like so. We're going to flip this section down. We're going to spin the waist around 180 degrees. And this section is done. So we're going to put that off to the side. And then we have what will become our two arm sections here. So basically you're going to start by flipping these down, and then they're going to fold again in half. They kind of accordion in on themselves. So this will come down and just peg really flat against that. Then you'll flip this fist piece around, and that will clip into place. Now, they tell you that you can go ahead and leave the arms like this. I kind of feel like you can't because these pieces get in the way. So if you're going to connect it to Menasor, you have to kind of, you know, stretch it out and you know, do the whole arm. But then when you're connecting the cars, you kind of have to put it back into this mode to connect the car and then kind of pull it apart. So I'm going to leave this one like this because this is going to have drag strip. And I'll show you how to do the full transform on this one because obviously we don't have dead end yet. So we'll close this up. This is going to fold down and then accordion in on itself. Then you're going to flip the fist around and snap that in. Then you're going to flip this down and then flip this up like that. Then you're going to do something similar down here, but you have to be a little careful because this wheel assembly kind of pegs in, so you have to kind of lift that away a little bit. And then you can bring this down and then, make sure again you don't have that caught on anything. And then once you're done, you can fold that in. So that's how you kind of get the full arm here. And that's going to give you your elbow, your rotation. They have really nice articulation. We'll get to all that with Menasor. But this is how it kind of connects onto Menasor. And if you leave it like this, you can see that, this is in the way. So you can't really connect it with the arms like this. So even though they say, oh yeah, if you want just the full slap the car on and leave it as an arm like that, it's really difficult to accomplish. You would kind of have to stretch it out, connect it, and then try to collapse it all back in, because then you can't really just hook it on like that. You have to kind of put that in and then rotate this piece back up. So this is kind of a completely collapsed arm, and then this is a fully transformed articulated arm. So we'll put these both off to the side for now, and you can see we're pretty much ready to go, but we're just missing something in this area. Alright, so next we need to transform Motormaster into kind of the back section of the torso. So we're going to start by opening up these panels on the back of the forearms and rotating the fists back in. There we go. We are going to unhook this section here on the back and rotate this around. Now there are two little tabs here on his abdomen that will tab into these two little spots right here and here. So that's going to come down and tab in, and then you're going to flip this section up like so. Now we're going to flip up the shoulder sections and then rotate at the bicep 90 degrees. And then this whole section here is going to untab and flip around. And then we're going to bend this at the elbow, and there is a little circle peg hole right there that's going to peg into that right there. So this comes down and that pegs in like so. So we're going to repeat that over here by bringing this up, rotating this down, bringing this part down like so, and then unhooking this whole shoulder section here, which sometimes these stick a little bit for me. There we go. Bring this around, and then that is going to peg on there. So it's not perfect. I kind of wish that they stayed together a little better, but it works well enough. Then we're going to come around to here. This is going to come all the way down. The head is on kind of a joint that you kind of lift it up a little bit like that. You kind of see how that piece comes out, and then you kind of pull it forward, which can be a little easier said than done. But it's going to swing. See, it kind of swings forward and up like that. Then you're going to just fold Motormaster's head in and then close this up. And then this is going to peg in here like that. And then we're going to flip up the antenna. And they're going to clip into place. And I feel like this is not all the way up. There we go. So now we have to come down here to the legs, and basically what we are going to do is you have to kind of temporarily unpeg this, and then I like to just kind of swing it out of the way so that we can go ahead and pop open this panel here. Then we're going to kind of bring these to the outside, and then the leg is actually going to collapse into here. So this will kind of, almost like a old Combiner Wars, that's going to go in like this, and then you should be able to close this panel back up. And then this is going to rotate up, and you can see that there is a tab slot right there. Let me zoom in just a bit. There you go. And then there is a tab right here. So this is going to come up and snap into place, assuming I can line it up. Sometimes I can have a little bit of trouble lining this up, but I promise it does snap into place. All right, let me zoom out here so we can see what's going on. Why won't you... Oh, you know why? I know exactly why. I forgot to rotate him at the waist, and that is why it is not lining up. So let me open this panel back up. Open the panel, there we go. Because I need the clearance to put the leg back down. Now I will rotate him at the waist. There we go. And now we will try this again. This will go like this. This will close back up. And now this will line up and click into place. You can put this back up. And you can kind of see it's kind of nice when you have that rotated back up. You can kind of see how there's like a little indent for this little spot right here. And that helps you kind of line everything up. Come on. I promise this does work. Why won't you go in there? There it is. So you hear a really nice satisfying click when it finally does get in there. So we're going to spin that in. We're going to temporarily unhook this and just get it out of the way so that we can lift up this panel. This is going to collapse in here. And then you can close the panel back up, and then you can pop that back on and bring this up. And then this will click into place. There we go. So that's a really nice click when you're all said and done. Then you're going to take these panels, which probably would still be connected right there, and bring these in and close them back up here on the bottom, which you just have to make sure that this tab gets in there and does what it is supposed to do. So unhook that, bring that around. So yeah, definitely remember to spin him at the waist so that they all line up in the correct area. And then this section here, which was the foot, is going to rotate down. You can see that there's an obvious tab right there, and that's going to tab in right there. So that's going to come down and peg into place. And there we go. So there is our Menasor torso fully transformed. We're going to bring this section in, and you can see that there are some peg holes here. That is for these two sections here. There's this tab right here, which is going to go in there. And it just kind of really nicely slides in and all connects in very nicely. And then this little section here, you're going to just push back, and that's going to peg in just as like another way to keep that all in place. And that just kind of keeps them all really nice and tight together. And then you're going to fold these sections up. These don't really clip onto anything. They just kind of cover some stuff so that it looks a little bit more uniform. And there is our Menasor torso and waist section. That head sculpt looks fantastic. I love that so much. It's beautifully painted silver with those red eyes. Really nice Decepticon symbol there on the torso. Head can swivel from side to side. Doesn't really have a head movement, but that kind of section can kind of come unpegged, but it's not supposed to. So it's really just a swivel from side to side. And then he's got a really nice waist swivel. And then really tight ratchets here for the waist, or the hips, I guess, rather. Out to the side. And he's also got a thigh swivel. So really nice articulation. And we haven't even We haven't even connected his limbs yet. All right, so let's go ahead and connect all these limbs together. Now, the nice thing is you can see that there's kind of a little tab hanging off the side of this, and there's a little indent here, so it kind of makes it so you can only connect them one way, which is nice. I don't think it really would matter, but they did go through the trouble of making sure you put them in the correct area because you will not be able to connect them otherwise. And you can see that it's really just Combiner Wars joints here for this. So technically you should be able to use any other Combiner War figures to go ahead and connect onto that. But there you can see we have legs. So we'll kind of put these out to the side a little bit and utilize our ankle tilt that we definitely have. So that's pretty cool. So these are going to be hollow until you come around and connect someone to the back. Because when you connect someone to the back, it pushes in on these. And that's what closes those panels. But you can still absolutely just stand with his legs like this. And he's got some pretty monster heels, as you can see. So let's rotate up here to the top. So this is our fully transformed arm, which is going to slide onto this little connection right here. So then we have kind of a nice bit of shoulder hinge there, as well as a rotation. You do have a bicep swivel, as well as an elbow bend. And then you have a really nice rotation there in the wrist. So you have a lot of nice movement there. For this arm, we do have drag strip. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and you can see all the different connection spots and they're just going to line up. Now, this little tab here is going to go in right here, which is going to allow this guy to split in half. If you remember during the review of this guy, he is capable of completely splitting in half. So we're going to go ahead and attach all of this. And you really have to line everything up. And then just really connect this all on there. Make sure it's pegged in absolutely everywhere. And then we're going to, and you kind of want to make sure that these hooks aren't hooked on too tight so that there's clearance there. And then we're going to bring this down and then flip this like this. And then this section is going to come down like this. Make sure that wheel section isn't in the way. Bring this up. And then fold this in. And now we have drag strip connected as an arm. So we'll go ahead and clip that on there like so. And there is our fully transformed Menasor with one arm. Now the nice thing is, because the trailer kind of becomes the skeleton of Menasor, you can 100% just pose him without any of the other Stunticons. So if you decided to pick this guy up and you just didn't want to bother to buy the other Stunticons, you don't have to. I mean, he's got arms, he's got legs, he can stand. There's really no problem there. It's just that, you know, this will look kind of open and then this arm kind of looks a little bare, but it's still possible. We'll go ahead and give him the sword here. We'll pop that in, and as you can see, the sword is a little small for the robot mode here. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but again, I understand why. If we want to bring in the ridiculously giant gun turret, it's a little too small for Menasor, honestly. You could use it with some other, Transformers you may have around, or you can go ahead, pop this off. And then I believe this is supposed to... I can't remember exactly how this goes. I thought it flipped around different for him, but you can go ahead and just pop it in his hand. And the gun does look a little bit better for Menasor because it's a little bit more in proportion, but it's still kind of comically giant. I don't know. The gun just really doesn't work for me in any of the modes, I have to be honest. It's not the worst. It's not the greatest. It's just there. I much prefer to just keep him with the sword. But yeah, this guy looks amazing. I mean, the chest, the head, the arms are going to look great, and the legs are going to look great once we have the rest of the Stunticons. But, I mean, even just focusing in on the head and the chest and, the waist and the legs, he looks phenomenal. I mean, when I think back to that Combiner Wars Menasor, this is just leaps and bounds better than that. Like, I can't even put it into words how much better this is. Also, I really like being able to just have the cars, even though split in half, still pretty much fully transformed as the limbs, because that's exactly what Menasor looked like on the show. With the Combiner Wars 1, you had to have like the arms in random places, or you had to use their legs to kind of form the elbows, and I wasn't really a huge fan of that. And I think the way they've done it here is just phenomenal. I am so impressed with this. I'm so happy with this. I cannot wait to get the rest of the Stunticons so this guy is fully filled out. He's going to look really fantastic when all said and done. This guy is absolutely fantastic. It is such a vast improvement over the Combiner Wars Menasor. I don't even know where to start. I mean, well, right off the bat, he's got a trailer where the other one did not. The robot mode looks a lot more like Menasor than the Combiner Wars one did. The articulation's fantastic. The paint applications are fantastic. The transformation into the cab, I think, is relatively easy. There are a couple panels and things to line up, but it's really not that big a deal whatsoever. You have the trailer. The trailer can transform into kind of a little battle station, but really the star of the show is Menasor. He looks amazing. The fact that you have kind of a full skeleton made out of the trailer, I think, was definitely the way to go. All the other Stunticons can peg on easily enough, and it looks fantastic. But even if you decide not to get any of the other Stunticons, you could still transform him into this giant combiner robot just on its own, because you have the full skeletal framework there, and he looks phenomenal. The head looks amazing, very beautifully painted. You know, you have that big chest plate with the really nice Decepticon symbol there on the front. All in all, just looks absolutely amazing. If I had to complain about something, I wish he had better heels in Motormaster mode. That's really my biggest complaint. Just trying to find a pose and make sure he balances is a little difficult. He does have pretty large feet, so that does help. But I just wish he had a little bit more in the way of heels. And the fact that you really can just kind of see that Motormaster, or I'm sorry, Menasor chest plate right here in the trailer mode. I wish there was just maybe like a little piece that could have clipped over top of this. Even just kind of clip over this whole section here. Even if you just threw it to the side for all the other modes, I would have been fine with that. It's not a big problem. I don't mind it. But if I'm nitpicking, it would have been nice to maybe cover that up. But I really don't mind all that much. This thing is a little flimsy, to be quite honest. It's not a huge problem. Again, it gets the job done. But if you kind of move it, you can see it just rocking back and forth under there. It's not the best. But again, these are minor things. They really don't detract from the set overall. He's great. I'm just so happy with this. I can't wait to get the other 3 Stunticons so I can have a full Menasor. And I definitely recommend picking this guy up. At this point, he's pretty much everywhere, I think. People are finding him in Target stores. He's on and off of Amazon. I got mine at Entertainment Earth, although it did take quite a while for it to arrive. I've seen it on Dorkside Toys. I've seen it on Big Bad Toy Store. So he's around. If you're looking for this guy, you know, I think even some people are getting him on Target as well, like the online app and in store. So he's around. Definitely check him out. If you're collecting Stunticons, even if you have the Combiner Wars stuff, I definitely think this is worth checking out because it's just leaps and bounds above what they did in Combiner Wars. And I'm kind of hoping they keep going. I would love to see a new, more accurate Superion next. I don't know what they would do because obviously Silverbolt doesn't have a trailer. So maybe they could give him some kind of like launch pad or something. I don't know, but I would really love to see them just kind of start going through the combiners again because the technology has obviously progressed so much more. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think, but Combiner Wars was like 6 or 7 years ago at this point. It doesn't really feel that long ago, but it definitely was. And you can see that they've really come a long way because this is just so much better than that Combiner Wars Motormaster. So definitely check it out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.